tuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tujilinde, tuwajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, makofi kwao tafadhali.
Migori County. Habari yenu? Mko salama? Mmefurahia? Kabisa? You ready to do this show today? Now, fun facts. I want to ask some fun facts about Migori County. Na niko na zawadi, by the way, for whoever gives me the best fun facts that we don't know about Migori County, that maybe the rest of Kenya would like to know. Who would like to go first? What are some things that Kenya needs to know about Migori County? Anyone? Start by saying your name, and then give us your answer. You can stand.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chacha Emmanuel.
Perhaps also tell us what you do.
I'm Chacha Emmanuel from Kuria West. I'm a graduate. I've done a bachelor's in education. Yeah. What people can know about Migori County, one is it has a population of about 1.2 million people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else with something? Unitafute after hii show. Niko na kitu yako. Anyone else who wants to give it a try? Oh, gentleman here.
Thank you so much. My name is also Sylvester. I want also the rest of the Kenya to know that Migori is the only country that borders Tanzania from the lake, Lake Victoria.
Hey. That's a good one. Thank you very much. Hata wewe unitafute. Anyway, after that, we also want, I'm sure my colleague here, Mwana, has engaged you on what the topic is here about today, which is business and enterprise here in Migori County. And before we begin, before I hand over to my host to continue, I would like to ask another question. Who in this room runs a business as part of what it is that they do? So if you run a business, please raise your hand. So I think we can go with this gentleman, then that lady. So tell us about this business you run, and what has been your experience so far running it, and maybe some of the challenges that you face here in Migori County as a business owner.
Asante, nashukuru. Kwa majina naitwa John Paul. I'm from Kuria West.
Yes.
Sibania Ward. Ninaendesha biashara ya kukopesha, kufanya biashara wadogo wadogo pale Sibania. Challenge ambayo tumekuwa nayo ni kwamba binafsi kwa biashara yangu nimerealize watu wetu wanaokaa Migori County wana lack knowledge ya biashara. So nikafumbua mfumo wa kufundisha wafanyabiashara wadogo wadogo kwa ajili ya kuendesha biashara. Mfano, ninapopeana pesa, mtu anaweza akaondoka na pesa asirudishe kama hajafundishwa. Lakini kama amepewa knowledge, ajue kwamba maisha ya Kenya ama maisha ya Afrika ni kuchukua, ufanye upate yako, urudishe ile nyingine, ingekuwa inasaidia. Thank you.
Very interesting, very interesting. That's an interesting one. The lady over here. Start by introducing yourself.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Oyaro Helen Anyango from Urire Sub-County. I do agrovet. And as I earlier said, I'm a holder of criminology, so I don't know much about agrovet. One, I have to employ a vet. I have to have 6 licenses, different ones. And more interesting, I have employees. You pay them off peak and on peak. Whether you sell 2,000 per day and in a month you sell 7,000, you must pay them 10,000. That is the greatest challenge. An employee will not say, Mama, this month has been very bad. Please give me 4,000. No. you must pay a constant salary. That is the greatest challenge. Another challenge is the KRA. You give what you don't earn, simply because we don't know how to maybe give returns. I think that is the main reason, how to give proper returns for KRA. But we must give at the end of the month and then turn over as the year goes. Yeah. So we have challenges, but hopefully, maybe if the government will stabilize, we may be there and we may enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think that's very interesting answers and questions answered. So Betty, I think the room is very ripe to have a business conversation.
There's a response.
Oh, there's another person who wanted to say something. Oh, sorry.
My name is Melan Margaret. I run a wines and spirit shop. One of the challenges that we are facing is that there is the rise of the prices of the commodities. They're not standardized. So it thins the profit margin. And remember, you have employees to pay, also the rent. Yeah.
Betty, like I just told you, you can see that the community is very ripe to have a business conversation today. So I will let you introduce the topic and we move on from there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Irari. Quick question, Irari, actually. What's the first thing you do, or rather you check when you wake up? It's your phone, right?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, and let's be honest, probably even TikTok for most of us here in this room today. 1 minute you're just scrolling, the next minute you're being sold shoes, clothes, cars, and sometimes even gym wear you probably didn't know you needed. So TikTok is not just for vibes. It's a marketplace. People are selling, people are buying. Some of you here are making money from it. Now think about this, okay? Kenya is a marketplace, but we buy far more than we sell. We import fuel, we import electronics, we import fertilizer. Sometimes we even import things we have the raw materials to produce ourselves. And that story is true right here in Migori County, a place often referred to as a sleeping giant. We mine gold, but we don't refine it. We grow crops, but we don't process them here. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we, for the next 2 hours, will be asking one big question. Can enterprise and trade become Kenya's roadmap to a first world status, starting right here in Migori? Good afternoon, Migori County. Good afternoon, Kenya. Uwaru Okote, Erokamano.
This conversation is facilitated by the Digital Publishers Association of Kenya. And we are live from this beautiful place in Migori County. We're also live on Kenyans.co.ke, Past Live Kenya, Business Today, Opera News, Nairobi Leo, Gafla, Tuko.co.ke, and Kenya Times. We are also live online, and you can check us out by following our hashtag, Youth Assembly Platform, and First World Kenya. And feel free to ask any question, make your comments on that hashtag, and follow us online, and let's have this conversation. Over to you, Betty.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's now put our hands together and welcome our debaters for this afternoon. Now, welcoming to the stage our first debater. She is a seasoned development economist, a technical advisor, and a strategist with rich experience in product management, in consulting, and international development. She actively supports initiatives that amplify African voices in global policy and innovation. A warm welcome to Sheila Olang. Joining us this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, he's a development practitioner focused on enterprise ecosystems and youth entrepreneurship models. His work centers on enabling SMEs to scale through market access, financing innovation, and systems reform. Kevin Ochieng, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin. Thank you for being here, Kevin. Also joining us this afternoon, he is an accomplished businessman from Migori with over 20 years of entrepreneurial experience. He's driven by a deep passion for business and innovation. Let's welcome to the stage Mahamoud Ali. Thank you, Mahamoud. And last but not least, she's an educationist and entrepreneur based in Rongo Town. Blending her academic background with her passion for enterprise, she runs a thriving cafe and bakery in Rongo. Everybody, let's welcome Winnie Amondi Ouma. Thank you, Winnie. My name is Betty Njeru. I am a multimedia journalist, and I will also be your moderator for this session. I am not alone. I am joined by my co-host, Anthony Irari, who's a digital media pioneer with over 15 years of experience, and our in-house fact checker, Mwanawa Njogona, who you've already met. He is the man responsible for making sure that we have our facts right and that we all learn something. This is Youth Assembly platform where we think, debate, and build. Let's begin. Our debaters, karibuni sana. Sheila and Kevin, it must have been a long journey here. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing well, thank you.
All right, karibu sana. Kevin?
Yeah, I can't complain. We're doing great. Thank you.
Winnie, Kauono Wandala. How are you doing?
Karibu sana. We're fine.
Thank you. Mohammed, the same goes for you. How are you today? Your microphone?
Hello? Yeah, I'm good. Niko sawa kabisa.
Uko salama kabisa.
Salama kabisa.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for making the time. Debaters, before we begin, we do have some ground rules for you. As this is a professional debate, we ask that we have time discipline as we respond to our questions and make our remarks. And we ask that we are also very respectful of each other's opinions. I believe that is okay with all of us. Yep. Shall we begin? Winnie, you are a businesswoman. You've been doing business for quite a few years. Perhaps you can tell us, how's been your experience?
Thank you. Winnie is my name. I've been doing business for about 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. I am a teacher by profession, but into entrepreneurship. So it's been good, though. A lot of challenges in the trade. We have a lot of challenges considering the fact that we are still trying to build our businesses to the levels that we want. So we experience a lot of infrastructure challenges and financing challenges. Those are the main reasons why we find it very hard to propel very fast, to move to heights that we really want to. So those are the challenges that we experience mostly in our businesses today.
Mahamoud, let me come to you as well. You run a successful M-Pesa business, a phone retail business. You've done business for over 20 years, 20 years in the game. What has been your experience? What have you learned along the way? What have you learned along the way, and what's been your experience like?
It's been good. Imekuwa tu mzuri. Yeah. Tuna some challenges hapa na pale, lakini tunang'ang'ana tu.
Challenges kama gani, Mahamoud?
Okay, shida kubwa tunapataga ni security. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Sheila, I'll start with you. We're talking about enterprise and trade and how we can open that to the opportunities of Kenya achieving first world business, first world status, sorry. So when you talk about Kenya becoming first world in the context of trade, what does that really mean in practical terms for a place like Rongo, like Uriri, like Nyatike?
I think that's a very good question. Maybe we can, I'm always a big fan of numbers. That will help us understand exactly where we are and set the stage to have the conversation. So we're in Migori County. I'll keep it at a county level. I come from Nyatike constituency, and we're in Rongo, and my mom comes from here. So I'm quite conversant with a bit of both. Migori County is home to about 1.3 million people, so that is the current population that we have. Of that population, generally, as it would be with every other developing country within Africa, about 75% of that number happens to be youth, so people under the age of 35. So if you think about it, when you talk about enterprise, there's been a need to develop enterprise and trade because in the current global market that we work in today, no one is going to really employ you. You have to be entrepreneurial. We have to be able to seek, especially as young people, opportunities for ourselves. So what does this look like? It means that, unlike back when we used to think about the government as supposed to be able to meet all our needs and give us opportunities, we have to find those opportunities ourselves. And in that case, the government acts more or less as an enabler to give us the perfect conditions for us to be able to access the market. And so when you talk about enterprise and trade, especially in Migori County, some of the biggest challenges we have are actually systemic in nature. Why do I say this? I say this because the biggest activities that we have that drive the economy within Migori County are the classical ones. So of course you have agriculture, we have some mining, we also have blue economy, and we're at the border with Tanzania, so we do quite a bit of trade. And so when I say that the issues can be systemic, it is because if you wanted to start a business today within Migori County, classical issues, access to credit, where do you go and you get the money in order for you to start your business at an affordable rate? We have a lot of women and young people who do small businesses. They've been subjected to a lot of predatory lending because you have to this lipa pole pole things where someone will give you, stock is maybe 5,000. But you have to pay X amount every day, and it's very predatory, and you really don't have a lot of social protection from it. It's very difficult to also start a business because of compliance, what is required of you to be able to even start this business. One is that we don't have capacity building and understanding the kind of documentation that you need. And second, there's a lot of laxity on how do you get this kind of documentation then set through. Because if you want us to be able to employ ourselves as young people, we have to be equipped with the information on how to be able to employ ourselves. Third, so I've mentioned two already. The third issue that then we have is that we are not preparing our population for the market. Like I said before, we have a lot of graduates in Migori County. We're very smart, actually. Tumesoma. The issue is vitu tumesoma are not what the market requires of us. So if you look at our institutions today, how many people are graduating out of Migori County that are well conversant with mining, issues mining? Because we have a lot of mining that is coming up. How many people here are conversant with issues of blue economy? Like I said, I come from the lake. I have a fish processing factory that I set up because I wanted to do local value addition. And I can tell you that I needed to get personnel from Homa Bay and Thika to train us so that we know how to process fish. Yet we have institutions. So are we focusing our local institutions to prepare our graduates for the market that we have within? So I would say those are the three big systemic challenges that we have.
Thank you, Sheila. Kevin, I'll come to you. And Sheila has set the foundation for us. She mentions access to credit. She talks about systemic issues. She talks about capacity building. When we talk about Kenya becoming first world or achieving first world status, in the context of today's discussion, enterprise and trade, what does that mean for the people in this audience today, for residents of Migori County?
Yeah, so first of all, before Kenya goes first world, the people of Migori have to also go first world. Yeah, so Kenya can't go first world and leave the people of Migori behind. And it's interesting the way Sheila has painted the picture. And even when you look at Migori from an outsider looking in, those are some of the problems that are actually almost documented that are affecting Migori. And so the question is, what can we then do to change this picture? Right, so we have institutions like we have Rongo University. How possible is it that there can be a concerted effort to ensure that some of the programs that they are delivering are actually market relevant and make the graduates market ready, right? How about, for example, not everybody who is a student who goes to school will become a graduate one day. What are we doing through the TVETs, for example, to ensure that capacity and capability is built in to the to those who are actually going through some formal kind of education, to make them be able to realize their potential out of the formal education process. Again, another reality is not everybody who has gone to school or who is a graduate is business ready or is business centric. You know, what else can these people do? For those who can get into business, how can they be helped to get into business? What initiatives, what trainings, what capability building, you know, drivers can be leveraged on them to make them business ready? Now, these are the ones who cannot get into business to save their lives. How is the county government, for example, working in collaboration with the national government to do sort of what I would call a mapping exercise? So this is a mapping of the youthful population, as Sheila had identified. 75% of them, you know, maybe you're looking at 15 to 35 years old, right? How do we map them from a skill set point of view? How do we map the potential areas where they can plug into from an opportunity point of view, so that we have these numbers, and then we can now create structures that then can marry these two, so that skill sets matches opportunities that are available locally. That, in my view, would be one of the ways of setting Migori onto the path to joining the rest of Kenya in pursuing a first world status.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Both you, Winnie, and Mahamud, you run thriving businesses here in Migori. So for you, this is a lived experience. But I'm sure everyone in this auditorium would love to hear your thoughts. What does that mean, Kenya achieving first world status? For yourself, actually.
For myself, as a business lady in Migori, it will be a bit difficult for us to achieve it right now, because we still have a long way to go. There are things that we have to work out first. There are a number of issues that are still affecting traders in Migori. For example, something that I don't hear people talk about more often, I run a bakery, but a lot of times we don't have electricity in Migori. That's something that really affects us. At times we don't produce for a whole day just because we lack electricity. So that's something that people are not talking about it, but it's happening in Migori County. Rongo is part of Migori County, and it really affects us. So we don't need to work on issues that are affecting these traders first, so that we move. From there, after working out the issues, then now we can move and talk on now how to build Migori to probably a first world country, the town literally that can run business and compete with other counties. So if we have not worked on our infrastructure, which is very bad, you know, you guys have just walked on the town, major towns. So if you visit other areas, then you'll know we have a long way to go as people of Migori. So we have a gap in infrastructure, we have a gap in our power supply, we equally have a gap in our governance. We lack leaders who go to the ground to visit these people who start small businesses, so that they interact with them and know the challenges that they're experiencing in the ground, so that we move. So those are still the gaps that we need to work on.
Mahamud, wewe uko kwa ground. You're in the field, literally. Do you agree with the sentiments?
100%.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Sheila, I'll come to you, okay? So Migori's own source revenue is about 62% of target. In the 2024-2025 financial year, Migori collected about 709 million. And it's looking to increase that by 50 million in the current financial year. That is revenue collected from health services, agricultural levies, and trade licenses. So if Migori is sitting on so much wealth, why is this county still struggling with liquidity, with jobs, with revenue capture?
I think you are speaking to a governance issue.
Yes.
And it did not just start with this administration, because sometimes we like to pit it onto a personality. We've sat on a county that is very resource rich. We are one of the few counties that actually has just about everything. We have a border, we have a lake, we can grow coffee, we can grow sweet potato. There is no industry that you cannot start up in Migori County. We are also quite lucky because we happen to sit also bordering other counties and other countries that we can easily trade with. So the question then becomes, why are we not on target with our own source revenue? There's been a push that we digitalize revenue collection. We can start from there. The process always lies in the how do we collect the revenue. There's been a push, not just for Migori, but most counties, because we lose a lot of money to corruption, unfortunately. Today in Kenya, we're discussing Nairobi County, for example, that is quite far behind, even on their own on-source revenue collection. And Migori is just a symptom of a smaller version of the same issue. Let's take one sector, the sector of blue economy. The only county, we have 8 sub-counties in Migori. And so the only sub-county that happens to be able to do blue economy is Nyatike sub-county, which has the lake on it. In the last administration, they built a fish processing plant that the government built in many places within Kenya. Migori happened to be a beneficiary of one of them. And so you have this fish processing plant that is sitting in Sori today. Same goes to sweet potato. If you go to Kuria today, there's a sweet potato plant that was built there. And I can go on and give you different examples. The question then becomes, why are these plants not operational? Why are they not operational? Because what we need to do in Migori County, we need to start attracting local value addition. And I'll explain. Because of historical injustices in Kenya, we have had our industries all up in central Kenya, in Thika, for example. I'll stick with the example of fish and blue economy. So we used to fish the fish here in Migori or here in Lake Victoria, and we have to take them all the way to Thika to process them in Thika. Now, why does it matter, you would ask? You get a lot of employment and a lot of opportunity and a lot of purchasing power, money in the pocket, when you process your product locally where you find it, so that you're only selling out the end product. So this is some of the thinking that determined the establishment of the sweet potato plant and the establishment of this fish factory that we have actually in my hometown of Sori. And do you know that to this day, that fish processing plant in Sori is lying there idle?
Oh, wow.
And me, who comes from that town, decided, because other counties were giving them away in private-public partnerships. And so I had the opportunity to say, can I please have that, because I'm from Migori County, I have investment, or I have investors, and we'd like to run it. And to cut the long story short, I have built a similar processing plant, less than 500 meters from the government one. I'm trying to explain that it's very bureaucratic. And we need to have a governance model, not just for Migori, that is able to shave out the bureaucracy and then bring in the business. If you want business to thrive, what is the formula? What are the ingredients that you need to use in order to have the private sector to thrive? One of the things you need to have, which I think Mwalimu is alluding to, is your factors of production. You have to be able to have power. If you want to run these plants, you have to have power. Sometimes you can look at them idling and they're closed, but that's because if you wanted to run them, you wouldn't have the power to actually run these plants. My factory, for example, I've had to put in generators. I use a lot of generators and a lot of solar because that's the only way that I'm able to sustain it. That's one. The other thing is you have to have a good ease of business. There's an ease of business index. What does that mean? It means that if I'm an investor and I would like to come to Migori County and start mining, there needs to be a very clear, very open plan of how do I acquire my license, how do I pay my county fees. You don't need to know anyone to do it. It needs to be systemic. We are one of the few counties in this area that still have not yet hosted an investor conference. And everybody here, I think you're from Migori. If I get anything wrong, please correct me, because I don't have to know anything. I could be wrong. But to the best of my knowledge, we are yet to host an investor conference. When you have things like investor conference and we show them the resources that we have, you have to have a good ease of business index, so that when investors come, they know that there's a dedicated office within the county government where they can get all their licenses and they can be helped and they can be processed, and it makes it just easier. easier. And this is not to say that these offices don't exist. I'm sure they do in the county government.
Yeah.
But accessing that information quickly makes it easier and makes it safer. There's also the third aspect, which is that we need to be able to access capital locally. You have to have an economy that is circulating. You have to increase purchasing power. The more people get their products put there, you get your 200 shillings, you go home with it, and you keep purchasing it. So it becomes circular, and that's how you grow and you get to that first world that we are discussing. And it's important for us today to be to be aware that we have to empower the private sector, because the private sector will help us meet our development goals. As a county government, you're not able to provide everything you need in terms of healthcare, in terms of education. But if you empower the private sector and you solely focus on local value addition, you just say for every industry that we have that I'm counting, livestock, we have coffee. We have a lot of coffee we can grow in the belt, not just the sugar belt. We can also have a lot of potential is going to waste. And these are devolved functions. So if you say I want to focus on every industry, you will not need to help anybody, because they'll be able to get a little bit that we eat, and we're able to provide whatever the government doesn't meet. Even if I go to a hospital and I don't have enough medicine, I'll have enough money to be able to purchase the extra medicine that I need. But you see, when you don't take your time to act as a government, to act as a conduit, your job is just to provide a good environment so that private businesses can thrive, and then the citizens are able to meet their needs. So that sets the pace a little bit of what is needed, that as Migori County, and I don't know where the blame is. It's with us as residents of Migori County. It's with the governance. It's with the local. I don't know where the blame is. But ask yourself, for example, why are we yet to host an investor conference in Migori County?
Oh, wow. Brilliant. Kevin, I see you nodding in agreement. Would you like to weigh in?
You know, the thing is this. Those of us who live in Nairobi, 15 years ago, we didn't know of a place called Kamakis.
Yeah.
But what did the government do in tying to what Sheila is talking about? The government built the Eastern Bypass, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So that bypass. Yes. And what did Kenyans do? Kenyans saw an opportunity to set up businesses. So to the point that she's making, we have seen this example so many times. Even this Mau Mau Road in central Kenya. It has already led to the increase in the value of land in Nyeri alone. There's a place called, I think, Tumutumu area, or even Kiganjo area. The value of land has already grown so high, and this also happened in Kiambu, where somebody lives in his village and a quarter acre in his village can attract upwards of 15 million shillings, 20 million. So Kenyans have demonstrated time without number that all they need is infrastructure. All they need is capability developed from the government. Bring a road, we will make use of it and we will build our economies around it. Bring electricity, bring whatever factors of production that you bring. We will turn it, we will take it on our own volition and turn it into an economic opportunity that can then drive the economy of that particular place. And I think that is one point that perhaps we may want to remind the government from time to time.
Yes, we'll come back to some of the things you two have just mentioned, but we have a live audience who I'm sure would also love to chime in this conversation. Irari?
From what I'm getting from the live audience, not so much so far, but I think the audience here already has some burning questions. Sheila, we have a lender in the room. I hope he's not predatory. Unapeana loans vizuri na watu wanalipa vizuri na hauna shida. So I think watu wanajaribu. But I'm sure that Sheila has made quite a number of points about, and they asked that you guys tell her if whatever she's talking about is actually the right thing. So is there anybody who wants to perhaps challenge her or maybe chime in into whatever she said? The student?
Good afternoon once again.
Stand up, stand up.
I'm not a student. Okay, I'm a teacher by profession.
Sorry.
I have 2 questions. Maybe one will go to Sheila, and then the other one will go to Mr. Ali, who is running, I think, Njiru said, about 20
a business shop and a phone
businesses.
shop and an M-Pesa.
That means he's very much unsoiled in terms of entrepreneurship. So my question is, Mr. Ali, At what point, now that you are running multiple business, at what point maybe can one feel that can make a pivot maybe to try another business? In a case whereby the business that I'm working on is not giving results, at what point can I decide to make a pivot and try another business? And Sheila, I wanted to ask on how you said you are running, is it a fish process? Yeah, I think that's something that needs innovation, and I wanted to know how do you leverage the three innovation as well as profitability and sustainability to ensure that your business is a long-term sustainable. It will take you to the future. Thank you.
I think I'll take one more question before you can note down the questions, and then you can answer them at the same time. There's a gentleman here. You can stand, introduce yourself, then ask your question.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Isaac Alande. I want to ask Sheila, because I've heard talking about the initiative or project she started in the fishery department, but I also believe that all these things they're doing are part of the county integrated development plan that actually the county should also embrace and support. So we are now more than 10 years since the inception of this county. I want to ask her if any case maybe she has partnered with the county, or what is it that the county is doing maybe to partner with her so that they can engage more youths to get support from those platforms. And also goes to these other fellows, maybe we also want to know, is it that it is just individual initiative or effort and there is no maybe support from the county government? Thank you.
So before I'll come to this side, I'm hoping that I'll get a lady to ask a question. I'll come to you. But before I do, Sheila, Mahmoud, I think you should start.
Yeah, wacha mimi nianze. Okay, kabla hujaanza biashara kwanza lazima ujue ni nini unafanya. Huwezi enda kuanza hata factory ya toilet paper pali oria ni wengi. Unajua hapo hakuna kitu utafanya. Ni kweli? Hapo hakuna kitu itafanyika. So kabla hujaanza biashara lazima ufanye research yako kwanza. Lazima ujue ni nini nafanya na nauzia kina nani. Target yako lazima ukae chini ufanye. Ukiona hii biashara haieleweki ama iendi vizuri, unataka kuanza nyingine pia, lazima ufanye the same thing. Huwezi fanya vile ulianza tu pap utarajie kwamba hii itaenda. The best way ni lazima ukae chini, ujue target nauzia, nataka kuuzia nani, hii biashara nataka kufanya, inataka kufanya kivipi, lazima ujue hivyo. Huwezi sema tu acha nianze hii biashara. Shida kubwa watu wanakuwa nayo kwa biashara ni kukopi. Wanaona nani ameanza M-Pesa, amepata pesa mingi, wacha hata mimi nianze. So unapata unaanza, unaweka vitu mingi, baadaye unakuja unaanguka. Lakini the best way ni mimi nauzia nani? Hapa kitu ambaye nauza, hii kitu hapa nauzia nani? Hiyo. So ikifail, labda wewe kuzaliwa kufanya biashara. Yeah, tufarani wote. Yeah.
I hope you've been answered.
Yeah, asante.
Sheila?
Thank you for your question. I guess I'll first start by asking about how did I leverage issues of technology and how do we make this sustainable. For me, like I said before, I'm an economist and I happen to be a woman who comes from the lakeside. And so when I saw the opportunity, because it's important that I also paint the picture. So we're in a fishing community. And every time you go out to the lake in the morning, you come back with the fish that you got. There is no refrigeration for your fish. Zero, it doesn't exist. So what does this mean for you? It means that I used to see certain trucks, refrigerated trucks, in zile za ice. They used to come and then they don't go to the beach. They kind of hide somewhere and wait until 5:36 p.m. At that point, if you have fish, you'll have to sell it, even for 10 shillings, because there's no way you're taking this fish. If you don't have oil to kuichoma, you know, and make it into fried fish or fried omena, it means that you have to sell it at the lowest price possible. So I saw an opportunity because I realized I came back home. I was living down in Sori. No one was going to give me an opportunity. So I saw an opportunity and say, you know, you have to preserve the value of the product that you have as much as possible. That was the inspiration for me behind setting up this fish factory. Because what happens today is I offer even rental facilities to the local community, and it's at a cost. So if you go and you get your fish, per kilo, I will charge you, and I can process the fish for you, and I have cold rooms, and I will keep it. I also sell ice, that fishermen come, they buy the ice, and they go out and fish with it. We had an issue with waterborne diseases. So what I did with my factory is I made sure that it's purified water that I use to make the ice, so that when our fishermen go, they can eat the ice when it's hot. And just, it's the small things that make the difference in this circular economy that we are discussing. So how did I leverage technology? I was cognizant of these issues that I'm telling you, that we have waterborne diseases, and that we needed to address it by simply making sure that ile ice wanaenda nayo to fish was actually purified water, so they can eat it as well. Number 2, making sure that if you have that fish that you went and you brought back in, and you're not able to sell it at the price that you want. One of the biggest things we have with our produce in Migori County, or in Kenya actually, in most rural places, is we have price variation. Hakuna harmony in price. You come to me, I'll sell it for 1 shilling. I go to you, you sell it for 5 shillings. We don't have harmony in a lot of things that we produce. And that means that the buyers, they have an upper hand over us who actually have the products. So by doing this, I let you take your time. Unaringa kidogo with your fish, because you're like, I have to sell it at 300 shillings per kilo. And I will wait until the person comes and gives me 300 shillings per kilo. So I saw myself initially having the idea that I wanted to set up fish cages, because, you know, like Ali is saying, everybody was setting up fish cages. And then I realized, I know, when we harvest the fish, tunaipeleka wapi sasa? I realized there's a window in that cold chain logistics. And so I decided to leverage technology, and that way it becomes sustainable, because many people are setting up cages and there's nowhere for them to take their fish. Ama you and your 1 bucket of omena, you can come. And then we wait for you, we keep it for you. Kesho you can come, you pick up your product, and we do it. This also means that we generate opportunities for casual labor. So like I said before, sometimes I'll harvest a cage for someone, and I need to have, right now I go between 140 to 160 when I'm at peak of processing somebody's product. So samaki ni ya mtu ameleta, I get casual laborers, we process it, and then it's shipped to wherever you'd like it to get shipped. So that is how you can leverage it in order to have value addition, and then it becomes sustainable. The most important factor was getting access to that credit, the fixed cost of setting up the actual facility. And I always say this, and sometimes I always admit that I'm very bitter about the fact that I had to build one, and there was one 500 meters, and I come from there. I need answers, because why wasn't that given to me and I qualified to, and it's still sitting there idle? Because that would have meant that we would have expanded by now and had even more people having that opportunity, if you see what I'm saying. And I think it ties into the second comment that we were discussing. How did I partner with the county government? I started off being very positive, right? I had explained that, I wanted to partner up. Personally, I've gotten a lot of support from the national government, so Ministry of Blue Economy. They've been very forthcoming. We have individuals within the county government as well who are very supportive in whatever it is that we need. However, at the end of the day, I have never read a county development plan where my factory fits into it. I don't know what that plan is. And this is not to say that it doesn't exist. Maybe I don't know where to look. So that could be a me problem and not a county problem. But I don't know where this plan is. I am one of the big, you could say, investors in blue economy within the county, and I don't know where this development plan is and how I fit into it. I'm kind of swimming on my own, doing whatever it is that I would like to do. To this day, I can tell you that I am yet to be visited by anyone from the county government office to see the facility that I have. I am the only one who has this facility within your county. When they ask you about fish processing, there's Rio, which is down here in Rongo where we are, and then there's me down in Sori, right? So Rio is owned separately. Mine is completely 100% owned by me. I am yet to see anyone from the county seeing how we can partner. However, I have been visited by the Ministry of Blue Economy from national level, and I get a lot of support from them. So again, it's the lack of information. Either I am not saying this loud enough that I am existing and I would like support so that we can expand, or they know I exist and they don't seem to be interested. But when you have entrepreneurs, you have to hold our hands. When you have Ali here setting up, you have to hold his hand and see so that we can work on it. But yeah, that's what I would say about that.
Thank you so much, Sheila. We are going to come to this side. So this gentleman had raised his hand. So you could start by introducing yourself, ask your question. Then if you can have a lady also asking a question from this side, we would really appreciate.
Okay, thank you. Mine goes direct still to Sheila. I'm very sorry. The county government don't want to recognize you, but they will come. I know they will come.
Thank you.
Okay. Second, I heard you talking about Migori sisi tumesoma. I like that word. It's give its name, but I can assure you not all of them. There are other people who are unfortunate due to other circumstances. So these are still members of Migori. What plans do you have in place? Because now I can stand to tell you that the national government has considered such people under Nyota project. So please, with what you have just spoken about, I'm really longing to get something from you that is also going to cater for unfortunate ones as per the education. I'm Julius Ongadiouko. I'm the chair of Migori County Bunge Sacco. I'm coming from South Kamagambo, Kitunja huko juu. Karibuni.
Thank you very much. Like I said, if you can get a lady from this side. Anyone? Anyone? Okay, we'll just give her because now she's the only one who's proceed.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you all our panelists. Sheila, thank you for that brilliant. I love you for free. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Winnie, Omar, and everybody. There's this aspect of small business people getting their loans at a higher percentage than the tycoons. Assuming I want 300,000 from Equity Bank, I'll be given at 14%. And somebody comes who wants 3 million and is given at 8%. How do we help this? That is one. Two, Winnie cried of business people being behind. I would want to encourage her that we must fight for our space. We must fight for our space in this county government and in the national government. And as you said, you are having a factory there and nobody is looking for you. Please continue helping our people and they will see what you are doing and they will look for you. What is our fate as small business people getting higher percentage of loan compared to the tycoons getting a lower percentage of loan? That is it. I don't know whether it's for Sheila or for the, I don't know.
Someone will try and answer you. Yes, someone will try. I know so many other people have raised their hand here and want to ask some questions. I'll come back to you in the second segment of the questions. But before I sit down, Sheila, you want to answer, and then we will come to one over here. I'm sure he has something he wants to share with us.
Sure. Do you want to, maybe I'll hand over the access to credit and why we are looking at different rates.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one, that because I would look at it in terms of maybe they consider the MSMEs, the micro, small and medium enterprises as risky, right? And so the question is, how then do we mitigate the risk as people or plying their trade in the MSME space? Perhaps maybe we can coalesce around one another and present a fortified, a unified, group, for example, to attempt to access credit, or we can actually maybe explore support so that whenever we go to access this credit, there's somebody who can be able to sort of like act as a guarantor for us, right? Maybe something that we can be able to explore in that particular regard. And it's good that you talk about that, because back to Mwalimu's question, in terms of when you start a business, at what point do you pivot, right? And he started by saying, not everybody can be in business. So the thing is, what problem have you identified that you want to solve? That is a very good place to start a business. What is the gap that she saw? She said she exploited a lacuna in the cold storage space, right? So what do you want to solve? Once you have identified that, then you build your solution around it. But most importantly, also consider value addition into the solution that you're providing, because it is in the value addition that then you can be able to even look at scaling. And in the scaling, you can actually pivot, so that then you look at this is what I'm producing. Maybe I need to also augment it with something else that will make it move out of the market faster. And in doing those little things, very many of us in Migori, we will move the airport from being an airstrip. We'll move the airstrip from being an airstrip to now helping us sell to other counties beyond Migori, and it becomes an airport. And before we know it, we are selling not only to Tanzania, which is across the boundary, but also to Somalia and Uganda and other places, and it immediately becomes a Migori International Airport. Yeah. So let us consider consolidating and fortifying ourselves into unified groups, success credit, and also identify what solution do you want to solve, and it will help you to scale and even to pivot.
Okay, I can maybe add something since, yeah.
Very briefly?
Yes, I'm a big fan of table banking, SACCOs, and cooperatives. Because what it does is it gives you a different leverage point or places to access credit. The reason we're having a credit issue is also a bit macroeconomic. People used to say during Kibaki's time, you could be able to get a loan easily at a very good rate, and that is not possible today. It is because we are also competing. There's also systems above what we can do. We are also competing with the national government to access the same money. So if I was a bank, do I loan this money to the government or to you, who I'm not sure that you're actually safe enough to give the money back to me? So how do we mitigate this? Consolidate yourself. At small levels, table banking. Move it up to SACCO, move it up to cooperatives. Then you have reasonable rates that you end up with. The next question I was asked was about education, and I'm glad you brought that up, so that I don't sound very insensitive, that there are people who are not able to access education. It is very true. And that's why I've been a big fan of saying we need to consolidate our bursaries. Even in MPSG bursaries, we are politicizing education, when if we consolidated that fund, people would actually be able to go to school. I think we need to come back to that. That's the short version of that response. And then about Nyota, again, the national government is coming and trying to help to set up entrepreneurship within our youths, even within Migori County. How can the county help these youths and the national government so that the Nyota program becomes successful? There's case studies such as Homa Bay. I think the Homa Bay County decided to waive the fees for business permits for them. That's one way of the county government consolidating. I don't know if Migori County is also keeping a database of all the Nyota recipients and following them through and helping them as they navigate the different business opportunities that they're looking at. That would be one way to be able to support our youth.
I like the sound of that, so that then the program is sustainable. Because one of the things we discovered is there is no word for maintenance in the African language. Ask yourself, what is maintenance in your mother tongue? So this is something that is starting, but are we able to maintain it moving forward? So we need to put sustainability initiatives around it. Can we follow up? Can we support? Can we mitigate any challenges that the people who have taken the opportunity today, will get in future? So that then we make sure that it's something that is going to help not only in the short term, but in the long term.
Okay. Mola, before you proceed, there's a question from Facebook, so any of you can take it up. So there's a gentleman called Mheshimiwa Amos Kawetha on Facebook, and they're asking, even if we discuss all these things, are we ready to face the giant called corruption that stops us from moving forward? So even if we do all these things, all these nice things we are discussing here, what about the issue of corruption? How are we going to get that out of the way? Because it's a big problem that we have in Kenya. So perhaps any of you can decide to take it up.
Mwalimu and Mahamud, perhaps?
The issue of corruption is something that we'll talk about day in, day out. And I run short of words when we come to corruption. For us to tackle this issue of corruption, we must first start with the governance. It still brings us back to the governance. And we as Kenyans, because we are the people who elect these leaders, and within a year or so, we start to again cry that they are corrupt leaders. So it starts from us as Kenyans. We first do it right, and then now we'll be able to fight the corruption, because it's an issue that we can talk about and the whole day without answers, because it goes round and round and round. it's difficult for us to tackle it. So it comes from us, the people of Kenya first, as youths, and probably those who are employed and those who want to get employed. Employment is not even there. So we are a big number. If we combine forces together, then we can be able to fight the corruption. But it's difficult because you cannot do it alone.
Mahamud, your thoughts?
Issue ya ufisadi
Kweli.
kidogo ni ngumu sana kwa sababu kama sisi tulizaliwa, mimi nimezaliwa Migori, nimelelewa Migori, in other word naweza sema ajasona. Lakini nikiwa mdogo kupata ID ilikuwa ngumu. So nime grow up na hiyo corruption. Mimi hata sasa hivi ukiniuliza corruption, mimi naona it's a normal life. Naona tu ni maisha ya kawaida. Yeah. So kuitackle kidogo ni ngumu kwetu kabisa. Yeah.
Interesting. Mona?
I'm going to start on education, then work my way to a few things that have been said. The question of education, this is something that is quite interesting. About 81.6% of the general adult population in this county is considered literate, with men about 82.8%, slightly higher than women at 80.5%. What's more curious is that according to the Kenya Demographic and Health Survey of 2022, only 2% of women and 1% of men in Migori County have no formal education at all. Only 2%. So
tumesoma.
Clearly. Now, there's something that was mentioned a little bit earlier. That was regarding the ease of doing business in this county. Now, there's something that the Ministry of Trade began doing. This is called the county, allow me to get that, the county, sorry.
Industrial.
I've got a lot of data here. Let me get that. Yes. What the Ministry of Trade did, they began something called the County Competitive Index. It's similar to, in terms of looking at the way each of the 47 counties are doing to ensure that ease of doing business is considered in each of these counties. And the last report was released last year, 2025. This report is quite interesting for Migori County for two reasons. One, specifically for this county, it's not ranked very well, right? It's ranked at 20, in the bottom 10, at 22% overall. But for this county, it ranks among the 10 best counties in the country for utilizing development funds. So that's a contrast. You're not doing so much, you're not doing well in terms of ease of doing business, but when funds come to this county, you're doing pretty well in terms of utilizing those funds. Now, in terms of the population, the projection is that by next year, this county will be at 1.29 million Kenyans living in Migori County. So far, as of today, the county is about 1.234 million Kenyans living in the county. So saying 1.3 is fine. The only thing is that the county is estimated to be growing at between 2.38% and 2.6% annually. In terms of the counties that are below Migori County in terms of ease of doing business, around this county, Narok is doing quite well, but Homa Bay is within the same level and Kisii is doing poorly. It's regarded as very low. That's it for now.
Okay. Thank you, Mwana. Thank you to our debaters for your responses as well. Now, I want us to move this conversation along, and I would like to engage Mwalimu and Mahamud here. So there's so many funds in this country. Recently, the Nyota Fund, which you've both mentioned on this floor before. The government is providing capital to young businessmen and women. There's been Uwezo Fund, there's the Youth Fund. But many young people say access to these funds is very hard, is very difficult. Why is the disconnect? What is broken, Mahamud? Shida iko wapi?
Kweli siwezi jua hiyo shida. Mimi unajua dini yangu hainiruhusu. So mimi hapo sijaijaribu. So siwezi jua shida iko wapi. Yeah.
Where is the disconnect in terms of access to the capital, to these funds?
Okay, access to these funds, the disconnect comes when these youths, the same youths that are supposed to access these funds, the people who vet them to get these funds are the corrupt people that you're talking about. So it still brings us back to the corruption issue. Because I have a DO who is supposed to vet people to get the Nyota fund. He will definitely go for their friends, who probably, most of them don't even come from that area. It happens. Most of them don't come from that area. So it still brings us back to the corruption issue. A lot of these funds go to waste because of the corruption. The people who are supposed to benefit from these funds don't benefit from the funds. That is the main thing that is affecting the youths, and that's why they can hardly access them. And another thing are the guidelines. Probably they're not well educated on how to get these funds. They lack the education on how to get these funds. So we need probably a platform to educate the youths on how to access these. And some of them will also tell you that they only get to know of these funds when probably they are being launched and people are already been identified and people already been vetted. So they get the information late. And that's why they miss the funding. So a lot of issues around these funds, and they end up not, because we don't even have, so why did we bring Nyota if we had the Wezo fund, that the other funds that were there? We don't follow up on how we use these funds. So that's the issue that is there on the ground. So it brings us back to governance, and it equally brings us back to the corruption. So if we don't fight these two, then we equally won't benefit from the funds.
Absolutely. Kevin, Winnie raises a very critical point, and it's the point of the criteria. How are we identifying the people that should get these funds? Who is identifying them? When is it happening? Is it from a policy perspective, Kevin? Should we perhaps be publishing the list of beneficiaries for transparency?
You know, it's interesting what Winnie says. And Winnie, I would like you to also talk about the mandazi and the bread thing at some point, because you know, she wanted to start by baking mandazis, but she ended up doing baking bread, but she ended up doing mandazis because of challenges in baking bread. That reminded me of the Marie Antoinette situation in France. However, to her point, I want to agree with her to an extent, but I also just want to keep it honest with us as Kenyans. Change can only happen when the pain of remaining the same as Kenyans is greater than the pain of change. Until a point when remaining the same in the same space is more painful than changing to a different space. Why do I say this? Whenever there are these programs, especially those that are driven by the government, you find people focus a lot more on the noise around the programs. You know, you find, I know people from my constituency, for example, will not read the Constitution because Baba has read it or Orengo has read it, for example. So you find that people have heard about these programs, but because they are not seeing those close to them or those they consider as influencers or influential people in their spaces talking about them, they think that this is not meant for them. So yes, to a point, it is possible, because I cannot, confirm. It's possible that maybe these things go to cronies and friends and people, friends of people who know. However, if we can also take interest and just follow, because when Nyota has been launched in Mandera and it has not yet been launched in Migori, what stops us from coming to ask the Migori leadership when our Nyota is being launched, for example? That would be a good place to start in understanding whether it is only for Mandera people or it is also going to come to Migori people. And once we know that it's going to come to Migori, we ask how it will be done. What do we need to do? How do we need to prepare ourselves so that we are among the virgins who had oil in their lamps, right? Yeah, so that to me would be, Kenyans, can we also just agree to separate the wheat from the chaff and go for the wheat, avoid the noise, and just go straight for the bullseye and see. Let us fail forward than even fail before we started.
Sheila, the Migori corridor has growing youth enterprises. I think even from some of your examples, we've already established that, and especially around agriculture. But as we talk about all these youth funds that are available to them, should youth funds then move from loans to equity partnerships to unlock the opportunities for young people?
I think that's a It's a very interesting question. We have a bulging youth population in the country, not just in Migori County. And when we talk about unemployment in this country, young people, we are disproportionately affected by whatever statistics that you're looking at. So when we talk about getting a loan for a young person, I think it's like you are killing a dead substance. I don't think that is the way to go. The issues that we are discussing here for me are twofolds. One is that for whatever program you launch and you start, you have to be ready to do the hard work of monitoring and evaluation. We like new things. They are shiny, they are fun. But we don't like asking what was wrong with the previous one, or where did we do right and where did we go wrong and how can we improve the next one. And this is a symptom of the fact that we politicize everything. Everything is politics. So if I choose not to see anything good this county government is doing, no matter how good it is, I'll always say the county government is bad, right? Because we choose to politicize everything. And same applies to national government. If I choose that this government is one term, no matter what they do, it's going to be one term. And I think we should roll up our sleeves. And the same goes in the opposite way. When I say that there's something crucial that needs to be changed within this county or this country, it is because it's very issue-based. I'm picking on a particular hot topic that needs to be addressed. So we have to be able to follow through and be accountable to the public. These are public funds. Nyota, for example, is a grant to the youth, but a loan to Kenyans. Mtalipa hiyo pesa. So if you're not asking yourself, who are these youths in Migori 70 per ward who got it and what business are they doing and how far have they gone, we are going to pay all this money back. It's not free money, except for the youths who are getting it, which I agree with them. They're not supposed to get it as a loan. But are we setting up the infrastructure so that even at county level, we are supporting the national government to ensure that we see success of them? Two is we live in a context where there's a lot of disillusionment as citizens and as youth. This means that in my head, it just feels like the government is not doing something. And so how do you graduate that from actually facts and figures? It also means that we have to take time to understand whatever is going on, but information must also be provided to us. That's why even with my critique of the county, I started by saying, if I don't know that it exists, and it actually exists, like an investor conference, if we have had one in Migori County, please let me know, because to the best of my information, I have never seen one, and I don't know when one is coming. I have attended one in Homa Bay, I attended one in Siala Resort for Nyanza. I'm yet to see one in Migori County, and why don't we have one? So I think also sharing information of maybe the county government can say, Sheila, we're actually planning to get one this month. So your critique is not valid because Migori is about to host an investor conference. So there's that information. We live in a digital era where we think we are very informed, but sometimes we are misinformed. And so the government has to be on top of it, providing the information so that people know, I can run quickly and see from Migori County, these are the recipients of Nyota, and this is what the county government is doing to support them.
Kevin, let me quickly come back to you again. We've talked about youth enterprise and access to capital. Let's tackle just a bit of agriculture here. And about 90% of gold mined in this county is artisanal.
Yes.
Migori alone produces about 20 kilograms of gold a day. In a year, that value could go up to 50 billion annually. It's an estimated figure. So if a county like this one, like where we are today, has so much mineral wealth, where has it failed to maximize on its potential?
That's a very interesting question. And it would still take us back to the governance issue. If that is the potential, for example, 20 kilograms of gold is the potential for Migori a day. One, is the county government of Migori aware? What structures have they put in place to make sure that there is a seamless flow of and a clear understanding of what it takes to mine this gold, who are actually mining this gold, what, and maybe I may not know, maybe that information is already readily available. And therefore, because then they would be able to clearly identify a market for this gold through which we could sell it and generate the required revenue, which would come back to the county, even if some of it goes to the national government, for example, in terms of revenue sharing. Is that clear? And that is what takes me back to the mapping that I started by talking about earlier. You see, we have to map these value chains, and mining becomes one of the value chains. Agriculture becomes a value chain to the extent that when Sheila was talking about, I mean, there is leather, for example, textile, you know, I mean, the fruits, the horticulture. How have we mapped those value chains to make sure that we are able to identify the opportunities, match those opportunities with the relevant skill sets, and going first world is all about high income and organized markets. You know, do we have an organized market, or this gold is mined here and it disappears the moment it shows its face outside the soil, and we cannot tell where it has gone to, you know? Is that what is happening? How can we stop that so that then it actually, you know, benefits not only the miners, who I'm sure may not necessarily even look a quarter of the gold that they're mining, and also just benefit the entire region, and unlock this great county, you know, this great county's economic potential to already a first world status.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the roads, yes, you know, Winnie warned us not to be bamboozled by the road that we see, that if you go into the interior, there might not be much to write home about. But is it possible that that gold can then help us improve on the infrastructure, provide the necessary access for the raw materials deep into the farms, into the marketplace, and unlock the opportunity that we have? I honestly think, listening to Migori is just one heartbeat away from first world.
Yeah.
We just need to get our house in order.
Wow. I'm sure the audience agrees with you. And, you know, I saw Winnie nodding a lot. Winnie, would love to hear your thoughts.
Thank you. On the mining issue, it's a little bit funny with the Migori as a county. It is more of a private business than a county business, because most of people that hail from Migori don't benefit from the gold. And if you want to get into this mining, most of them will discourage you. They'll be like, the language that they use is pesa yako inaenda kupotea. Pesa yako itapotea. That is what is in the ground. You will see it from a distance, see we are rich with the mining. But now who benefits? And what does our leaders do so that the youth, the women, and any other person in Migori County can benefit? And what is this mining bringing to us as people of Migori? Has it built any roads for us? Does it improve any infrastructure? Do we have systems running with this issue of mining? So it is there, but there's nothing that has been done for us as people of Migori to benefit. A few benefit, and they benefit a lot. But because it is in Migori, I believe that everybody in Migori should be able to benefit. We have the opportunities that you get the gold, you go there mine, but where do you take your gold after mining? There's somebody seated, you sell it at probably 300 shillings to him. He goes and get 3 million from what you sold at 300, because we don't know these investors who can come and buy them at the price that would make you benefit as somebody who mines the gold. So that's a gap that we have in Migori that should be looked into.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Kevin, actually, when you were making your submissions, you asked whether the county government is aware, and you don't need to answer this, but whose responsibility is it to make them aware?
Oh. I sometimes, and I would reiterate perhaps, sometimes, you know, I would hazard a guess and say, maybe even this gold is in someone's land. So it starts with you.
Yeah.
It starts with each and every one of us. And in identifying the Kenyan problems, we always find ourselves pointing at someone, but we forget that the other four fingers also point at us. Maybe we also need to introspect and say, to what extent have we played a role in how this gold mining is the way it is? Yeah.
It's the road. I mean, it all goes down. So you're better off being in a place that doesn't have any of that. At least you'll have a road and a school, and nobody will be fighting the other. Like I said before, I think we have to rise above the way we look at resources and how they're able to enrich us. We are still at the governance stage where everyone is looking out for themselves and trying to amass this. A lot of the gold actually that you can find within that Nyatike belt, that is on government land. And so you find artisanal miners who are there, but they've been there for years and years. A lot of them don't even realize that they're in artisanal land. Until recently, the land was trying to be sold to an investor, and then they got the shock of their lives that they actually don't even own the land. So I mean, there's a lot that we can unpack from there. But as a woman from the same area, I mentioned before that we deal with sex for fish, which propagated a lot of HIV. Now we have sex for gold that is going on for, we are creating a new problem again, and we don't have health facilities where we come from. So I think we really need to go back and see how do we leverage resources that we have to be able to provide for, you know, so that the biggest beneficiary become the people who come from around there. And it's true, the biggest beneficiaries of the gold that are there are not people from Nyatike.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. Mahamud, we want to hear from you. Unafanya business across borders, yes? What is the biggest barrier that traders face in Migori, especially those that trade along the border?
Mostly inakuwaga insecurity, kwa sababu insecurity pia unajua inaanza na youth employment. Pata vijana wengi hawana kazi, ndio unapata wanaingilia hiyo mambo ya wizi. So employment hapa ikipatikana, hata hiyo rate, crime rate hiyo itakuwa chini. So shida kubwa ni hiyo tu.
Insecurity.
Insecurity.
Okay. Irari, would love to go to hear from the floor now.
Yes, so many things have been discussed, talked about. So I would like to give everyone a chance to kind of, oh, not everyone. At least we have a lady here who is finally speaking. Then I'll come to this. Yes, and then we'll see who next. So perhaps you can start by introducing yourself and then ask your question.
Okay, I'm Evelyn from Awendo. I would like to ask Mahmoud just a simple question. You have talked about series of activities you are doing in Migori County. What are some of the strategies are you using to ensure that your safety and the safety of your business is well taken care of? Thank you.
Asante. Okay.
Oh, you want to ask? Okay, proceed.
No, go ahead.
No, just answer.
Okay. Unajua security inaanza na sisi, sio serikali. Kwanza wewe ujilinde, alafu ndio serikali itakulinda. Lakini unapata shida sehemu kama Migori, ni sehemu inafuata maduka zifungue masaa 3 ya usiku ama saa 4. Lakini unapata imefika saa 11 kwa sababu watu wanaogopa mtu anafunga duka. So unapata hiyo biashara haiendelee vizuri. Kuna watu wanafanya kwa ofisi, wanakuja kuchukua hizo bidhaa zako wakitoka kwa ofisi. Mostly unapata ni saa 11 na kuelekea, lakini hiyo saa 11 wewe umefunga duka. Kufungua pia inabidi ufungue saa 2 ama saa 3. So unapata working time hiyo ni kidogo sana. Yeah.
Okay, I think you also want to finish and tell her how you now
sorry.
So now mitigate that. I think that's what was the question.
Yeah, ni hivyo tu ndio sasa hizi by now. Okay, Migori sasa sio mbaya sana ukicompare na Sirari. Mimi nafanya biashara Sirari na huko. Yeah, by the way, nimeona kuna watu wa Sirari hapa na wajua. Yeah, ni mzuri. So unapata Sirari mtu pale security ni mbaya sana. Kwa sababu kuna wenye wanavuka kutoka Tanzania wanakuja wanafanya hapa, wanarudi kwao. Mostly target yao unapata ni maduka za Oria. Unajua kuna hii kubelieve kwamba Oria ni pesa. To Oria onge pesa sana. Ani penyeraji. So unapata wanasema Oria wako na pesa nini? So shida kubwa tuko nayo ni hiyo tu, lakini sasa sisi kujilinda. Sisi wenyewe kujilinda ni kufunga tu mapema. What else can we do?
So hauna bodyguards wa kukulinda?
Tujafika huko lakini tutafika inshallah.
This gentleman over here.
Thank you so much once again. I just have 2 questions for the experts. One to Sheila. I'm happy that you are a proud daughter of Nyatike. And it's a very sensitive matter that you raised, that our county produces graduates that do not understand the market. That leads to the disconnect between our capability and productivity. You also cried about the investor conferences. And I'm also made to understand that you are a political hopeful. Is it possible, or are you prepared to create other forums that the people of Migori or Nyatike can deliberate or discuss these matters? Or must we wait for other people to invite us to such other forums so that we get our own problems? Number two, where is the problem of this lack of empowerment among the people? Is it the government? Is it our own mindsets? Or is it poor governance? Or is it the interference from whichever? Where is the problem? Thank you.
Yes, I will come to you. My director is telling me that I'm not asking people at the back questions. So I'll come at the back. This gentleman, you can ask your question.
My name is Songora. I come from Nyatike. Maybe just a point of information, Sheila, Migori County did an investor forum, donor investment forum in 2023, sometime in November. But you wouldn't know about it because some of these conferences here in Migori are for I think they are just used as platforms for the politicians and the county governments to make money. So you will not, maybe you are not invited, but I think you should have been there. Two, as a people, as young people, our government is investing in education, right? But we are educated for nothing, or we are not educated for this country. Because if I'm being educated to be an engineer, engineers build roads, right? Engineers works in farms or in manufacturing plants. But you see, like Sheila said, our Kigonga, there are farms in Kigonga for the potato one, that has died. So the engineers and the producers for potatoes, that cannot be business as usual. So I think we have a governance problem that needs to be sorted out. If we are training ourselves for the future, we need to invest in the future. Every county, the government must ensure has something to produce. Because if we are not producing anything, how are we going to uplift the GDP of our people? Right? The other bit I wanted to talk about is the political or the business environment. How are we able to be a pro-business community or society? Like if you go to other countries, they are able to do business easily because they are able to do a language of their own. Our languages in this country are a problem. Why the Somalis are doing fine is because they learn our languages. If you find Jasona now is able to do business here because he has appreciated and learned the language of the Sona people. The government has to find a way so that we all learn these languages and let them not die. So that I'm able to know, decide now, I want to know the language that the Sona speaks. I can go to Turkana and invest there. I can come here and learn a language and invest there. Because learning from ECD to the basic education should be done in local language. I think that's something that government should look into.
Thank you so much for your comments. Perhaps someone will get into that. Still at the back, anyone who has a question here, comment? If not, I think you had spoken before. So I will allow these two gentlemen at the front to say something.
Okay, thank you. My name is Charles Osewe, and my question goes direct to Sheila. Sheila, I know you're aspiring for women rep in Migori County. Isn't that true? Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, fine. You said that you import laborers from outside, like in some other counties, if I can remember well. Yeah? You said something like that there in your plant there.
No.
Yes?
I use the local labor.
You use the local labor?
Correct.
Maybe I didn't hear you well, but I go something like that. The skills, yeah.
Yeah, the skills.
Oh.
Yes.
Have you brought any workshop or seminars maybe to train some of the locals so that they can help you there?
Yes.
Okay, that is good. Number 2, can also say that politics also plays a very bad role in terms of business and entrepreneur, because as you aspire for maybe women rep and maybe you are not supporting other candidates, you are not going to do your business as well as you expect. Is that one not true in Migori County?
Yes.
Can we agree that?
Absolutely. That's why I want to sit on that table.
Okay.
Ndio msinisumbue.
Okay. Lastly, we must agree that there's a clear stage that a setup that should be set for each and every individual in Migori County to at least have an ease in doing business.
Yes.
And forget about politics.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Santa.
So you can proceed, and then the lady at the front, and then we will proceed to Mwana.
Thank you very much. I'm Okosi Elijah. I just have a general question to all of you, because now you are our experts. And I think whatever we are going to say here, you work as a link between wananchi to the government. Now, the subtopic here was enterprise and trade, and making Kenya Singapore, Africa. Now, on our way, I've come to realize, and if we may concur, that there is a big obstacle on the way. There is this disease called corruption. Now, as our expert, which way forward? What are you going to tell Kenyans so far, those who are following us or watching from across the regions, that how are we going to make it to Singapore if already there is a very big disease, more than cancer, called corruption, which can't make every project started go through? Because Sheila at one given point talked about lending money to small business people. For instance, you are a banker. I come for a loan, and a government come for a loan. You would rather prefer giving a government than me. But Sheila, each and many a times we are being told, each and after every government, that for instance, when Moi started, at the end of his era, he left a debt of, for instance, 1 billion. Kibaki took over, he left 3 trillion. Uhuru took over, 10 trillion. Now we are in Ruto, Kumi bila break. So why would you prefer giving a government than an ordinary mwananchi, when in real sense there are stories of debt being left by these governments? Thank you.
Umeuliza mangumu na wafanyi kazi serikali, sasa sijui kama wataweza kujibu. But before we continue, I'll come back to you guys there. So this lady also wanted to ask a question.
Thank you very much. My name is Melan Margaret. My question goes to Kevin. There's a great assumption when we're talking about the things that the government is doing in order to support the small business owners. For example, the youths are being offered the Hustler Fund and also the Nyota Fund. How do we solve this assumption of all youths that don't have jobs are businessmen and businesswomen? It is a big problem because we are different even in our homes. There are people who are born to go corporate, and then there are people when you wako na ile roho ya biashara. That great assumption, how sustainable are the loans? Because most of the small business owners, I think one of the things that should be considered, we should go for the youths who are already doing business. And I've actually seen that in this my business, if I get a little push, then I can get somewhere. But picking a youth whose interest is not even in business, they'll go in for the money, and that's why they're not able to pay the loans. Secondly, how do we train before loaning? There's a 2 weeks training, or it's a few days training, and then you're given the money. I think we should intensify on training the people who are going to be given loans, especially the youths. For example, they should be let know, don't go into a business with a problem of spending the profit. Sometimes you can start a business and you are almost half of the loan you've been given, you want to spend it on aesthetic value and not the product itself. These are things that are supposed to be taught to the youth. What are some of the efforts that you are making to also make the youth that have been loaned to start fresh businesses to have records? Not running the business from, you can't even know if you are making a loss or making a profit. So the first assumption, are all these youths business people? Second assumption, are they keeping the records required? And the third concern, in the next rollout, because this one is already gone, let us consider youths that are already in business. There are some of the youths that are coming from the center which I come from. They're selling clothes. The stock is only 2,000 shillings. They're not beneficiaries of the Nyota. So we are taking someone who has never done business. They're coming. They're saying, oh, I will sell mandazi. Hata ajui one packet of that ngano inaweza toa chapati ngapi. So that there's a weakness somewhere there. Thank you very much.
If I must say, these people don't work for government. They are just our guests, so don't be too hard on them. After all, they are trying to figure out what is happening. So please don't ask them very tough questions. But if you can answer in no particular order, I know so many questions have been asked, but perhaps whoever wants to take it first, if you have something you would like to say, then you can say it.
Maybe I can take the question about debt. So why would a bank be more interested in giving, a loan? A bank be interested in giving loan to the government instead of giving it to you? The way credit works, so this idea of giving loans so you pay it back, is you want to make sure you're giving me money and that I will actually give it back to you. It's the guarantee, it's a risk aspect. And so in an ideal setting, what the government does is, the government, at the time it will not pay you back your money, it means that the government has fallen apart. It doesn't exist anymore. And the risk of that happening is so high. But the risk that Sheila will not pay you back your 5,000 shillings, hiyo inaweza fanyika. After you give it to me now in 1 hour, I will not have it, I might die, blah, blah, blah. So that's why they do that. So in an ideal setting, you are not supposed to compete with the government for money, for credit. The government is supposed to seek it elsewhere, and domestically speaking, we give access. And by the way, see stories ajaba. Kibaki was the president. He was an economist. And I'm proud to say I went to the same school and studied the same thing as Kibaki. So we're both economists. You can actually drive the economy to the point where, when Kibaki left the presidency, we did not have the kind of debt that we have today. This started with the Uhuru administration, and now it's ballooning with the Ruto administration. Again, it's easy to put it that way. We're also growing. There's so many other things that we are doing that would explain it. But just to say that in Kenya, there was a time when we were growing as a market so well, and that we did not have all this debt. And that is what Kibaki did. And he was able to develop infrastructure. Hizo Mathika Sikwa Highway, you had free education. And one of the things he did is he avoided that direct contact with me to give you a handout. He preferred to work on the system. So instead of saying, I'm giving you 20,000, what he said is, education will actually be free. So all that money you're being asked today, sijui uniform is cash, sijui ile ya tuition usiku, so you didn't have that. So that money that you could have used there, you used it to enrich the economy. So his interjection was very systemic. And good economic planning requires that you use the system. Don't pick, just use the system. And speaking of system, you have to match the skill to the market. That's what I tell people all the time. Don't just want to be an engineer because it's nice to be an engineer. If you're living in Migori County, what needs to happen is our TVETs, our university, need to look at our market and then see how many people have you trained who can actually work in the sweet potato processing plant or who can work within blue economy. And that's the skill that we were discussing. In particular, when you have expertise, and in this example, it's called Mondo. Mondo is Mo from the Nile patch. It's very delicate to process it. And I was shocked to find out that in front of the lake where we were, we did not have this capability. We had to get Homa Bay much ahead of us in terms of blue economy, Victory Farms and the rest of them. They had to come and teach our local people for sustainability. Then we are able to process it. So skill transfer and matching skills to the labor market is a very important connection that we have to make if the economy is to work the right way.
Yeah, so thank you. There was a question that was asked by a gentleman there, whether it is the education or it's the governance issue or it is a mindset issue. it is not every day that you go to the university to study economics and then you become an economist. Many a times, the university degree is a foundation against which you then build your career, and it might actually take a completely different turn, right? Dr. Kidero is a pharmacist. Today, he is not practicing as a pharmacist. I'll give you another pharmacist in Dr. Murungaru. He is now a beef farmer, you see. And in between, they went through, you know, politics and everything. Who do you know in your locality who pursued a particular course in the university, but what they are doing today is completely different from what they did? How many? Raise your hand if there is one person you know in your village who pursued a degree in medicine, but today is not a doctor treating people, but doing other things. Just raise your hand. Or anybody else, right? So sometimes we just need to look at what opportunity can we access using the skills that we have, right? There is a lot to do with innovation, and Sheila has talked about innovation in her, you know, blue economy value chain. Engineers, can you innovate? Can you innovate? For example, I'll give you an example. An egg. What is the life span of an egg? It is alive for as long as you have not dropped it to the ground, right? However, when you convert this egg into powder, it takes 10 years before it can go bad. Read about it, right? So you see, when you have an egg today, you want to sell it quickly before you lose the value. But if you do value addition into it, you get egg powder, you even get the eggshell. The eggshell can be used to manufacture calcium-based solutions, which can actually be given to people to boost their calcium intake, for example. Or they can also be part of the chicken diet to help them with the digestion, right? Can we innovate? You are a political science graduate. You can be a teacher. They are looking for teachers. Must you only get job here in Migori? Or government has National Employment Authority that can be able to place you somewhere or even take you out of the country. They are trying to clean it up. There have been a lot of problems we cannot deny, right? But must you be encumbered by the fact that you have been trained in a skill set that you will not use in Migori? Can you use that skill elsewhere? Can you pivot, like Mwalimu said, to something completely different? Right? You can be an economist and you can be a health economist. You now talk medicine, health system strengthening, right? That's the conversation of the hour, right? Maybe there's something on economics and policy. Everybody is looking for policy in the spaces where we can be able to, you know, to build our understanding in terms of even how to unlock the potential of other disciplines, right? So maybe we need to open our eyes, great sir, so that we handle probably I don't want to say an attitude, but a mindset issue, right? And what you said, my sister, about Nyota, my understanding is that priority should be given to people who are already in business and perhaps who want to scale their business or just want to maintain and build their business, perhaps, right? Picking somebody who has never been in business and putting them on the Nyota program is probably starting with it doesn't end wrong, it starts wrong. So it will end wrong with this kind of person. And if the manner in which they are selected is the manner Winnie was talking about, then we have a fundamental issue there. However, people who are supposed to be on this program are guys who already have business, and maybe a way of telling that they have been engaging in business is to look at the records. Maybe they have not been keeping their records, probably a capacity issue. Can we help them at that level so that then we are able to rope them into this, plug them to succeed, so that we put a switch on that when we switch, the light will come on. It's not going to be dim and then it dies. Yeah. I think those are the only areas I wanted to focus on.
Mona, I think if you can proceed, because we are running out of time,
Yeah.
so that we can proceed to the next stage.
All right, I'm going to keep it short. So in terms of the debt, when Mwai Kibaki retired in 2013, our debt was about 1.89 trillion shillings. At the moment, that figure has jumped beyond 12 trillion shillings. In terms of crime in Migori County, this is where the heart of what has been happening on TV for the last 1 week. So it's the easiest way to understand these figures. All right, so in terms of Migori County itself, security is a big problem. And among the reasons that the security is a big problem is the porous border, inadequate infrastructure, and police response, and as well as violent crime. Those are the four things that have been highlighted as the biggest problem for the county. Now, in terms of the data itself, residents have reported rising criminal gangs, especially in Uburu area, or Oruba area, sorry, with robberies and break-ins causing businesses to close as early as 8 p.m. In terms of Sori, that's in Yatike West, Yatike West, yes. High levels, yeah? Suna West, yes. High levels of fear due to active theft syndicate. In Riri, same thing, violent crime, including murders, has triggered emergency meetings or security meetings. In terms of figures, stealing, burglary, and forgery, for stealing is at 68%. That's higher than the national average, that is about 53%. In terms of burglary, that's at 29%, slightly higher than the national average, that is at 26%. And in terms of forgery, that's also slightly higher, at 14.4%. The national average is at 6.2%. In terms of corruption, we talked about it a lot. Migori County is among the counties that are at the middle. Out of the 47 counties, Migori is at the center. You are 20th out of 47 counties in terms of the corruption index. You have an index score of 0.279. What happens is that with this aggregate, it compares in terms of what reports have been made from this area in terms of bribery and also in terms of petty bribes as well. So in terms of EACC, they estimate that Migori County government between 2013 and 2017 lost about 2 billion shillings to corruption. The last thing I would like to mention is a fun fact. We've talked about gold a lot, and I'll give you three things. The first, the rocks in Migori County are thousands of times older than the first dinosaur. They belong to the Archean Eon, the earliest chapter of Earth's history. Also, the Makelda mine in Migori County was one of the most important multi-metal mine in Kenya, producing gold, silver, and copper all at once. That's it.
Mwana, shall we all move to Migori County? And probably go to Sheila's village in Sori?
I mean, the potential is pretty high. From what I've seen from the data, in terms of, we've only talked about gold, but there are other minerals that are available in this county. And estimates show that if Migori County was to use its resources that are on Earth alone, we would be able to get about 50 billion shillings a year. So I think there is hope for Migori County.
Wow, so much unrealized potential, clearly. And this is a conversation that we cannot even finish today. But now, I want to come to you, Mahamud and Winnie. Nataka tuchape storia, cartels and systems. You being business men and women, having lived this life, you understand it. Kuna cartels? And if yes, where do they manifest in your respective areas?
Cartels iko, nadhani cartels hakuna pale hawako. Lakini Migori pia cartels wako, na unapata hawa ndo wanafanya kazi kubwa kubwa zote. Ukiangalia kwa gold, kuna leaders wenyewe wako ndani ya hiyo gold. So niambie, na hawa ndo cartels wakubwa ukweli usemwe. Yes.
Kwa biashara yako unapatana na wao aje, Mahamud?
Huko labda sisi ni ndogo hii hawakujaji sana.
Kadogo economy.
Huko hawako sana.
Lakini wako.
Wako. Yeah.
Mwalimu.
Yes. The cartels are there, and we can hardly meet them because they really don't go for small businesses. They really don't go for small business. It's only that it's very difficult to rise because they are blocked up there. So they're there. For example, I said in gold business, you are a miner, you mine the gold, you get it, but now whom do you sell to? Somebody will benefit more than you who worked hard and got the gold. So those are the people we call the cartels. So they are there, they block your way, you sell to them cheaply, and they are readily available to buy from you. But we don't know these investors that we can sell to them at very good prices, so that we equally benefit as these cartels also benefit. So, for example, I run a bakery. So, running a bakery, a few challenges that I experience mostly is power, electricity. I talked about it. But for the cartels, it's not really much in bakery because for me, I went for mandazis to supply to the schools. Reasons being, bread is a little bit difficult doing bread because we have cartels in bread. We have cartels in bread. We have the big games. The people who play big in this industry. Yeah. So you can hardly beat them because if you go to any other shop, you will get bread available. So it's you as an investor or you as an entrepreneur to find the gap that is there in the market so that you capitalize on the gap that is in the market. So I found the gap in the mandazi for school supply, being a teacher. So that is why I invested so much in that kind of supply. So for bread is equally, you can equally do it as a youth. I would advise people to try and do it. It's only that you as a person who wants to do business, have you found the gap so that you equally benefit from this business? We can beat the cartels, it's possible you can, but now how? You first do your research properly before you get into the business so that you work smart and succeed in your business. Yeah, so the cartels are there, but it depends with how you treat them.
Wow.
They don't go for small businesses. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Winnie, I'm glad you got ahead of me. Juu nilikuwa nikurudishe kwa hiyo story ya mandazi and bread. Sheila and Kevin, cartels wanna survive because the systems are weak, ama because our leaders wanna tolerate mediocrity? Now, respond to that question. You can perhaps break it down for like a young biashara owner.
Maybe niwache Sheila aanze kwa sababu kwa biashara sijui alichapa aje cartels alafu maybe nita patia wasia wangu.
Sawa.
People only exist where there's a vacuum. So when you see cartels thriving, it's because there's a vacuum somewhere. And when we talk about cartels, it is because it is not for the lack of information that there's a vacuum, but that vacuum is intentionally kept and sustained. And so you find that we were looking at several examples, issues like garbage collection. Why is there no incentive in setting up a systemic garbage collection network, even in small towns? Or why is there no incentive in setting up water systems? I mean, if you have Nairobi Water in Nairobi, we have Miwasco in Migori. Why are we not thinking, let's expand that and make it so that we have clean, fresh water everywhere? It's because kuna mtu who invested in clean water tanks somewhere, and when you start doing that, utamtoa kwa biashara. And this is not just for Migori County. This morning I was discussing the issue about Nairobi County, and it's exactly the same story. Cartels thrive because there's a vacuum, and you let them thrive. Because you cannot tell me that you are in governance and that your job is to be able to govern that space and that you're letting a cartel. Who is the legal entry called cartel? You see? And so yes, you find that they do exist. Mine, within the experience that I've had in blue economy, it's amazing because I found cartels in interesting spaces. I'm also in export business for exporting omena. And it was very difficult to crack to get the export license, but I was very determined to export omena because we have the best omena you could ever find. We find it here within our base, like in Sori, where I come from. And so I wanted to do this. But the issue I found out was the cartels were actually within the system. Before you're given that license, and now I'm talking about national, not county. Before you're given those licenses, utashanga, you're seeing Chinese people setting up cages, no problem, wamenyamaza. You, when you try to set up your fish cage, it's like, you're jumping through hoops like they never existed. Because the cartels are within giving you these permits to make business even feasible or possible in the first place. They keep these spaces, and I realize it's because they give kickbacks every month. It's like you get a salary from these people. Now, anajua me, when they give me an export license, I'm not going to pay you every month. Why would I pay you and you have nothing? You did your job, you gave me the license, we're done. You see? And so what we need to do is we need to have strong governance that cuts off these cartels. We have to work on market access and market development. As long as there's somebody impeding your product from reaching the market in the name of a cartel, you will never experience the full potential of your product.
Kevin,
Yeah.
tuongee language ya Wanjiku.
Acha niwaambie, hii story ya cartel ni ngumu. Kwa sababu, hata tukisema ni governance, utapata kitambo mtu akuwe hata kiongozi na si eti na elekeza kidole cha lawama kwa mtu yeyote ambaye ni kiongozi. Bado utapata pia hao makatelo watakuwa wamechangia katika huu uongozi. Kwa hivyo mtu anapofika katika kilele, ako na deni ambayo lazima sasa ashinde akilipa. Sasa itabidi sisi kama na ni vile tulianza kwa kusema, je, wale watu ambao tunawachagua tumewapiga msasa ya kutosha? Wako na tabia kama hizi za kupokea mlungula au rushwa au kiinua mgongo kutoka kwa watu ambao jinsi wanavyoendeleza biashara zao ni gushi. Ushaona? Maswali haya lazima tujiulize sisi wenyewe, ili mradi tuweze kuchagua wale viongozi ambao kidogo tuko na uhakika katika uhalisia wa utendakazi wao au jinsi walivyojijenga kama watu ambao wamejitokeza katika kwa uongozi. Sawa sawa. Tusipozingatia maadili ya uongozi, tutakuwa na shida kila mara tutakapochagua watu, kwa sababu tukiwa na matatizo kama haya, sijui cartel ni nini kwa Kiswahili. Unajua Kiswahili pia sana sana sio mdomo chetu, lakini nimejaribu sana, si ndio? Sasa tutakapojua tukiangalia wa cartel tujue hata kidogo my train of thought has disappeared. But what I'm trying to say is cartels are interwoven in our society. They are part and parcel of the process of even electing the leaders who we want to address the cartel problem once they are sent to the positions of authority. So kazi ni kwetu. Itabidi we take a step back na tuchunguze viongozi wetu. Kulingana na zile shida ambazo tuko nazo, tuangalie ni nani atakapoenda pale mbele atatusaidia kuyatatua. Sasa alafu tuchague viongozi bora, sio tu bora viongozi.
You want to respond?
Yes, I mean I think there's a lot of gatekeeping in governance. That's why you end up with the leaders that you end up with. I'll say that one more time. A lot of gatekeeping in governance. So, for example, I'm running for women representative in Migori County where I stand today. And I can tell you for free that by the time you end up on that ballot or on that party ticket or whatever, they don't like us. It's like a cartel in themselves. Wanajijuana, they elect themselves because they don't want people who disrupt the system. The only thing I have going for me, like I said before, is me, I stick to the people. You know? And for them, they're used to operating in a certain manner that even when you come up and say, I'd like to run for political office, they're not making space for us as young people, as women, as outsiders. There's no space for us. They guard these spaces. You don't get any mentorship. You don't get any kind of support. But the good news is cartelism is now, at least in this region, is about to face a very rude shock in 2027. For the first time. Wewe na watu wenu, mmalizane. So there's no you have to go. No. And I'm seeing them have a lot of discussion. Hata nacheka tu. I'm like, report card. Come back and tell us. What are you planning to do? What have you done? It's very simple. We are now, as wananchi, the newest cartels in town. Yeah.
Kitumbua kimeingia mchanga.
Kevin, you know, there's a running joke that you only hear ilimradi, yes. Angalau from this side of the country. Wacha tusikie kama audience wako nazo.
Na tulisema ingine ghafla binvu.
Ndio hiyo.
Before I come to you, the audience, I would like to also give the comments from the online audience. We have Kiprotich Generali on Facebook saying, great conversation, very vital in our quest to make Kenya a better place. We also have Eric M. Mosao also on Facebook, when amesema, without structured job creation, industrialization and digital economy, investment, the first world dream excludes the majority. And then you also have Christ of Kawawa, again on Facebook. Amesema, everything goes back to the government. If they don't create a conducive environment, no one is safe. And then lastly, we have Evans, again on Facebook. Amesema, powerful conversation coming from Migori. The youth are not just the leaders of tomorrow, they are the drivers of today's economy. Enterprise and trade are key pillars in building a first world Kenya. And those are some of the comments from our online audience. But coming back to you before we close, I'd like to give a set of people to also make their comments. I'll give this gentleman over here, that one, and then we'll know. And then there's a gentleman at the back. Start by saying your name, and then.
I'm David from Sirari. Lakini nilikuwa na swali.
Ask.
Okay, thank you. Sheila, kwa faida ya mwanabiashara, kwa nauliza, how do we build ourselves into a company to move us out of business? Hiyo tu. How do we build ourselves into a company so they can move us from business?
Is the question clear enough?
No. Do you mind expounding?
Perhaps.
Okay.
Do you mind expounding?
Zaidi.
Sawa. Nasema hivi. How can we build ourselves as a business into a company?
Because the workspace in our country is, I would say, limited. But you look at the labor laws in our country, most of them, if not all of them, focus on the employed, the formal sector. What are we doing as a people and as a country to shift to the informal sector in addressing this bigger population? Because most of the employed people, or the working class, most of the bigger population is to the youth and the informal sector. Lastly, everything traces back to governance. You ask about the economy and everything, we still trace back to governance. Fingers still point back to the governance. Now, the question is, are we ready to change this? And if yes, can it be 2027? Thank you.
A good one. Then I will take this gentleman, this cool gentleman at the back.
Thank you so much. Members, thank you, Ali, Sheila, Kevin, and Winnie for being articulate. My name is Pastor Dickens Openda. I was born in Awendo and I stay in Uriri. I have a comment, and there are two. The greatest undoing of this nation is putting people who are not experienced in position. I am a pastor who studied theology. Then I'm appointed minister for roads in the county. Will I talk about the road to Emmaus or Jerusalem and Jericho? That is a problem we have. So we lack expertise, even though Kevin talked about it, but we can't overdo. When somebody is a CRE and history teacher and is given the Ministry of Agriculture, he does not have an idea. If you continue like that, are we going to Singapore? Number two, most people in those big positions who influence economy and other things are over age. They have refused to retire. Some even manipulate their ages to maintain those positions, and young people are educated down here. No wonder when they combine efforts together, they can interfere with that system in 24 hours. So we pray that as we advise the government, let them consider expertise, they consider age, wengine wakae nyumbani, wengine waangie kazi. Mtu kama mimi naingia 40 sahi, at least I'm still a youth. Lakini wengine ni youth na wako 70 na 80, hiyo ni nini sasa? So we ask you to help us understand and give people like Sheila opportunity. That lady is very brilliant. I've never interacted with her. I have found her very organized and articulate in the way she presents. Angekuwa mwingine ako 80, angesema vitu zingine hata uelewi. Mungu awabariki.
This gentleman here, young person, you also want to say something?
Thank you very much. My name is Kenneth Okesh. I am a son of Karungu, Nyatike. Now, my observation is just one, that, and it's related to what Pastor has just said, that the governance of this county keeps failing us because we do not appoint the right people into the right positions. And that's why our incompetence keeps lingering wherever we go. Year in, year out, we keep seeing all manner of bad policies being implemented by the wrong people, unqualified people. Now, there is also another problem in this county, which perhaps will make us not realize Singapore anytime soon, which is it's related to governance and youth unemployment, and it's political violence. You remember last week, for all 3 hours, the Migori County headquarters, Migori town, was embroiled in violence, and people lost lives, property was torched, property destroyed, and nobody could run their businesses. In this county, we have gangs, political gangs, and politicians are so proud of these political gangs. Some are called Kitsch, others are called, very funny names. But all these points towards a governance problem. We do not want to solve the problems that our youths are facing in this county, and there's no political goodwill. And I think if we have to realize Singapore anytime soon, then we have to make those difficult decisions in solving problems of our youth. Thank you.
I know there are so many people who want to speak. There's people who have spoken before. So please allow me to just let the ones that haven't, because we have run out of time. You can check the time over there. So this gentleman here has been raising his hand. So if you can speak, and then please allow me to close the session from there, then let you take over from there.
Swali langu linaenda kwa Ali na Winnie. Tuseme unataka kuanzisha biashara leo. Umeenda kwa benki ukachukua mkopo. It is a new business, hauja establish client. Kesho ifike, landlord anataka rent, and then mkopo pia lazima uservice. How do you go about that advice? And then to Sheila, tunaambiwa kula tano weke tano. Unaona vile economy iko sahi. Kama hiyo tano ya kukula ndauna, ile utaweka utapata wapi? Kindly advise on that. Thank you.
I know so many questions have been asked, so over to you.
Ali?
Asante. Hiyo swali yako ni nzuri, isipokuwa siku advice uchukue loan kama unajua hakuna kitu unataka kufanya. Kwa sababu utaichukua within 1 month itakaa sana, hata 1 month labda ni mingi utaikula na unadaiwa. So kabla hujachukua hiyo loan, fanya plan. Fanya plan ndio uchukue hiyo loan. Ukishachukua hiyo loan unajua ni nini naenda kufanyia. Sawa? Alafu kuna kitu nitawaambia, kuna kitu inaitwa self employment. Mfano, mumaikutana nao ria wanauza masimu barabarani. Mumaikutana nao. Hao watu hawana capital, acha nikupatie siri. Hao watu hawana capital. Atakuja kwa duka yangu, aniambie nipatie hii, nipatie hii, nipatie hii. So mimi namuamini nitampatia simu 10. Jioni atanirudishia, labda ameuza 2, ametengeneza thao yake. Hiyo yote pia inaingiana na uaminifu. Unaona? So hata hiyo loan ukichukua na huo uaminifu bado itakuwa tu ni shida. So pia tujaribu hiyo orieche konyore. Adie riber donge. Orieche konyore. Mimi nikianza, mimi nilimaliza Migori Secondary 2002. Nikaenda Remba. Kuna kazini yangu alikuwa na boat hizi. Si unajua Remba boat samaki hizo. 1 year nitamfanyia, after 1 year mimi nitarudi Migori. Nitafungua kibanda Migori. Hiyo kibanda nitarudi nitaachia wife. Mimi nitaenda Sirari. Budi, tunakuwa na wewe Sirari. Nitafungua Sirari. Sasa hizi tumefungua branch nyingine Elgorian. Yeah. Asante.
Winnie?
Oh, okay, on the same issue that he asked about loans and business. As someone who has been in business for quite some time now, I would advise someone, a young person who wants to start business, to start with loans. You will not go far. If you start with loans, you will not go far. For what I've learned for quite some time is, start up your business as small as it is. Start even with 1,000 shillings. Grow it to 10,000. Grow it to 20,000. Then now take a loan when now you require to expand more, and you have tested your business and you are sure that your business is going to pay back your loan. So I would advise, don't go to the bank, and no bank, actually no bank would loan you to start up a business. because they will want to see the existing business before they loan you. So no bank, you won't walk to any bank and loan you to start your business. So start as small as you can. After setting up your business, try it out. Reach out to the targeted customers first. Make sure it is working out for you before you go back and start loaning. Loan for something that you are sure is going to give you good returns to pay off your loan. If you don't do that, then the chances of you failing and starting the business or not working out for you is very high. So that is what I would advise with the loaning issue on business.
I guess maybe I'll respond to my fellow youth over there who was talking about that we are being pushed a lot into the informal sector. I have a big problem with leadership that does not carry my vision. It just carries where I am today. So if I'm a graduate today, I'm an Imenda TVET, or whatever the case is, I'm talented, I'm a dancer, whatever. Instead of coming to help me figure out how can I go and dance to the highest dancing level, you're busy giving me bare minimum. I have a problem with that. I think leadership has to carry our vision. All of us must be border riders, all of us might do. That's nonsense. And not all of us can even start businesses. That's nonsense. Leadership is supposed to carry the ambition of where we're supposed to be in a very practical sense. Not just saying, oh, tunaenda Singapore, we've been going so many places now I can't keep track. But the point is that the whole point of planning, like I said, I'm an economist. When you do proper economic planning, you have to look at your population. Unangalia, I have young people, and what am I supposed to do with these young people at all levels? I'm a firm believer that we are all talented differently. Just because ujaenda sijui kugraduate kufanya nini, it doesn't make you any less or any better. Kwanza, we always say those people, machopi who used to get A's, they are busy working for us as accountants. Me, I get the most brilliant ones to do the things that I don't understand. So we have an education system today that is saying, let's look at your talent and let's work with you differently. I think what we need to do at the end of the day is we need to look at governance that carries our vision instead of just where we are. And what does this look like? We've had countries that we can learn from. You know, all these issues we are having, imagine we are not the first ones. Literally, we are not the first ones. India had a problem with a bulging youth population. At some point, walikuwa where we are today. And they had to ask themselves, what do we do? India decided to prepare itself to be a hub where young people can train in basic computer skills. Wakaanza kufungua ma call centers to process a lot of them in these call centers and the rest of them. And that way they were able to absorb. We are lucky as a population in this country that we are very well educated, the youth. Why are we sending everyone to go and do borders, to go and become house helps, kwenda to fight Russia? I mean, that's absolute nonsense. And it's not like we lack ideas of how we can drive this economy. Like Pastor said over there, please, if you don't have enough qualified people, we are here. Tumejitolea because we love this country and we love this county. And you know, personally for me, I just said, I'm not going to sit and watch you bring my county down. Because kwani wewe ulizaliwa sana kunishinda vile mimi nilizaliwa hapa. See, we are both from here. We have to take responsibility. It's easy to point fingers. Oh, governor, oh, women. Take responsibility. And then tell yourself, how am I electing the person I'm electing? Because those people are a reflection of us. We put them where they are. Hawakujichagua. Everybody you are seeing there. If somebody came, if it was a women rep came, what manifesto alikwambia atafanya that you can put her to check and say, hii hajafanya vile alisema? Ama you guys were just happy singing along in rallies and then we elected them. So we also have to take responsibility of the leaders that we have in front of us. And we are waking up now and we are saying that leaders have to have a basic understanding of where we want to go as a population and how we can take ourselves there. Instead of rhetoric and thinking all of us as young people, we want to ride borders, sijui want to go and become housemaids in sijui. No. Alafu hao wanabaki hapa, they are owning industries, they are becoming rich. It's absolute nonsense. And as a young person, it's very frustrating saa zingine kukaa hapa, unaona vile tunabebwa ufala. But now to us, it's our responsibility. You have to get yourself registered. Chukueni kura, mpige kura. That's where they beat us. You know, we complain, tunakataa kutumia system. We exist in a land where we have laws. You can't just complain that I don't like my governor. What are you going to do about him? After not liking him, alafu. So we have to make that transition and actually do the hard work and not just be professional complainers.
Kevin.
Yes.
Ole, nimetoka.
The thing is, there was a story about a young Maasai boy who one day made a lantern, a small tin lamp, I think, and put it on the fence of their home. You know, they live in Manyatas. And it happened that lions that kept coming in to pick their goats and sheep feared the light so much, they stayed away. If I remember correctly, this gentleman got honors, I think, all the way to CNN. He was, I think, in the UN, you know. So what am I trying to say? Sometimes the problems that we have, we are the only ones who can solve them by innovation, right? And in saying this, I want to quote Albert Einstein. He is quoted as saying that we are all geniuses. But if we choose to, and I want to use this example because of the blue economy and our proximity to Nyatike, Sheila tells us there's a lot of fish there. If we are all geniuses, but if we choose to judge the ability of fish, if we choose to judge fish by its ability to climb a tree, then the fish will spend all its life thinking it's very incapable of achieving anything, right? And the point goes back to us. What do we want to do about the governance that we have talked about so much? Sheila already alluded to it. It takes your vote. Ukitaka uongozi bora, itabidi uamke mapema, uende uchague kiongozi bora. Ukiamua kulala kwa sababu sio shida yako, utapata bora kiongozi. Sawa sawa. And I want to use an example. Recently, we had by-elections. In Mbeere North, I think in Malava, in the Gen Zs came up in June last year. I was hoping to see a lot of them rising to the challenge of wanting something different. We missed them. We are not saying that we are not expecting them in 2027, but that was a good opportunity to go and just test the waters. It's a by-elections anyway. Just go and test and see, right? So we must stand up to be counted.
Wow. Debaters, those are very wonderful submissions. But now I want us to wrap up this conversation, and I will ask you some very rapid fire questions, which perhaps let's keep our answers very brief, very quick, very short, very straightforward. I'll start with you, Sheila. What is one policy change you'd make in 12 months?
Local value addition.
Wow.
For every resource we have in this county, locally. I want finished products strictly living wherever they are.
Mahamud, wacha nikuje kwako tuongee. What is one sector Migori County inafai prioritize ndio businesses za mayouth zinuke?
Hizi small business ndogo ndogo hizi. Yeah.
Winnie, if you had to make one executive order today, what rule ama policy would you change at the border?
I would change that we don't charge goods that come in and out through the border. Yes.
Taxes are high?
Yeah, the taxes are high. Okay. So we don't even lower the taxes. I will change that there are no taxes for goods that go so that people trade easily.
Kevin, are you ready? From a policy perspective, what is one measurable commitment that the leadership of Migori County should make today?
I think for me, and I'm glad you've asked me that question. On May 4th, 2024, no less than the Department of Industry, the State Department of Industry, released a strategic document for 2023 to 2027. It was very clear on what it is we need to do to accelerate our industrialization so that we are able to improve our manufacturing, to move from contributing to 7% of the GDP that it does today to 15% by 2027 and 20% by 2030. Now, how that has not been, and she's talked about local value addition, it is part of that document. How that is not being accelerated here has beaten me. Yeah? So I would actually want a situation where some of the novel initiatives that are being driven by the national government, let us test them. Let them fail here, then we'll have a different story. But if they're not even on the ground, then we really have a little bit of work to do.
Okay. There's one person I don't want to lock out of this conversation. Mwana, do you want to check us?
Nothing to fact check really, but just to add on the story that he gave, the name of the Maasai boy is Richard Turere. He was 11 years old when he made the discovery. It's now called Lion Lights. In essence, what he did is he found an old battery, a car battery, and an indicator for an old motorcycle, and put it around the boma where the cattle slept, and they flickered at random times to ensure that the lions thought that someone is walking with a flashlight. And since that invention in 2011, they say that his family says that no animal has been eaten by a lion in their household.
Can we say yes, we can? Yes, we can.
Wow, and that is a wonderful, wonderful place to close it at. Audience.
Betty, before you close, there's a question for Sheila.
Okay.
So let's not close out this online person. So they're asking the products that you have at your
factory.
Can I call it a factory?
Yes,
No?
it's a
Yes.
factory.
Where do you sell them? Do you sell any locally, or does everything go abroad?
Good question. The omena is shipped to the United States. The fish is sold locally. I'm not shipping the fish out. And more, or the intestine of the Nile perch, I'm working on doing market access so that I can actually ship that out as well, because the value for that is found abroad and not locally. So a mix of both.
Over to you, Betty.
Wow, audience. Si tumekuwa challenged leo. My youth, si tumekuwa challenged. Well, I don't even have any more to say for myself, but thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this discussion. Thank you to our debaters, Sheila Olang, Kevin Ochieng, Winnie Amundi, and Mahamoud Ali. Thank you so much, Asanteni Sanas, for making the time. Thank you to you, our audience, for being such lovely, lovely participants. Thank you to the production crew for your patience with us.
And we also want to thank our online audience for engaging with us this whole session. And also for the DPAC members, which are tuko.co.ke, Kenyans.co.ke, Opera News, the Kenya Times, Gafla.co.ke, Nairobi Leo, and Business Today as well. So they were airing this live the whole time, and we want to also thank them for that.
Okay. Erokamano, everybody. Until the next one, it's bye-bye from us. Yes, we have a photo booth just outside, and we do have a board for you to leave us some feedback. If you could be kind enough to leave us some feedback. It's just outside on your right, I believe. Yes. And to our debaters, if you could stay behind for photo session as well. Thank you so much.